I think, as we move away from the issues with the regionalization and the homestand models, which are readily apparent, one thing that I want to bring up is, there were so many problems, and we do need to talk about the developer problem, which was pretty massive. But before we get to the developer problem, I want to talk about the tone and product problem just a little bit. So when I first signed my contract and Nate Nanzer came up to me, he basically said that he wanted Overwatch League to be like kind of edgy and cool. He cited inside the NBA. And so obviously this was really attractive to me, because that's the kind of content that I enjoy creating. And I thought, finally, we can be real esports, if you know what I mean. We don't have to make it into a professional sports broadcast like Riot was really trying to do at the time, and that a lot of people thought was the best way to move forward. We could be more creative, we could be more edgy, we could be more fun, we could really integrate well with our audience. And what ended up actually happening was, by the time Overwatch League started, the sales team had sold it to Disney XD. And so we were on like a children's television network.
Channel name, by the way, for esports. When it comes to the XD, it's like that stupid, like trying to budget.
Yeah, exactly.
What an amazing channel name.
So they had sold it to Disney XD and ESPN and ABC, which are all owned by Disney, right? And we were supposed to kind of dumb down the content and make it more palatable. So in the end, the thing that I signed the contract for, and I think Nate Nanzer's vision of what the tone of Overwatch League should be, was basically taken over by a bunch of people who wanted to sanitize it even more than other esports, and then this really reached a peak. And I've said this before, and it sounds ridiculous when I say this, but I think that banning Pepe was one of the worst things that Overwatch League did. And this sounds insane, okay? Because it sounds so stupid that banning a frog emote would be terrible for the league. But I think what happened when they banned the Pepe emote was it was so tone deaf to the core esports audience that basically people who came from esports, who were willing, as we saw in the first day viewership, they were willing to give Overwatch a shot. They were at least interested in it. By the time we banned Pepe, the core esports audience, it turned us into a laughingstock with core esports fans, because it was
still used in LEC. The teams themselves still use the Pepe the Frog all the time. It's one of the most famous gamer sort of memes of all time.
Of course. And yes. So, it was at that time that they said it was like racist. But even if you go to the the Anti-Defamation League website and look up Pepe the Frog, I have it on my screen right now. Here is what it says. It literally says the majority of users of Pepe the Frog have been and continue to be non-bigoted. However, it was inevitable as the meme proliferated in online venues such as 4chan, 8chan, and Reddit. Blah, 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 blah. A subset of Pepe memes would come into existence that centered on racist, anti-Semitic, or other bigoted themes.
Right. Just on this, Doc, just to inject a little point of information, just to make it sound like it's Congress. I did a video on the history of this on my YouTube channel.
Sure.
Some key little details to remember here is the only reason we're all pretending that a cartoon frog is a racist symbol, and by the way, you'll notice no one does it anymore, is because in the 2016 election campaign, Hillary Clinton decided to try and score some cheap political points because Donald Trump Jr. tweeted out she'd made the faux pas of saying that Trump supporters were a bucket of deplorables, and basically if you didn't want to vote for her, you were a scumbag. That was the political message. Like literally her campaign message was, fuck you, it's my turn. So anyway, what she then decided to do was Donald Trump Jr. tweeted this thing out saying the deplorables looks okay to me, and in it was a feels good man, Pepe, right? But don't look like Donald Trump. And so, realizing the deplorable faux pas, she then said it is a white supremacist symbol. Look, they're actively doing it. Then she went to the Daily Beast. They had a journalist there called Olivia Nuzzi, I believe her name is, who now is surprisingly based. It's almost as if it's all a grift and a hustle. But the Daily Beast, guess who sits on the board of that? Oh, it's only Hillary Clinton's daughter. It's only Chelsea Clinton. Bloody hell, what a surprise. They wrote an article saying that it had been co-opted by white supremacists, and the whole thing snowballs from there. You want to know what's interesting? On Hillary Clinton's website where she said that post doesn't even exist exist anymore. You have to go find it in archives. But they also had political operative goons at the ADL sort of say it got literally added off the back of Hillary Clinton's request. And even then, they had to say, yeah, but not all the time. So it was never a racist symbol. In fact, it was one of the most popular memes on the internet. And for Overwatch, and will always be, because it is a blank canvas for which you project. Right. By the way,
and listen to this. Listen to this, Richard, on the Anti-Defamation League website. Listen to this. However, because so many Pepe the Frog memes are not bigoted in nature, it is important to examine use of the meme only in context. Yes. The mere fact of posting a Pepe meme does not mean that someone is racist or a white supremacist. However, if the meme itself is racist or anti-Semitic in nature, or if it appears in a context containing bigoted or offensive language or symbols, then it may have been used for hateful purposes. Newsflash, guys, things aren't racist, but they are racist if they have hateful imagery associated with them. That could be literally anything. It could be literally any image.
Go look it up. It's a phenomenon. Yeah. And here's why Overwatch fucked up so much with this. It's not just that it was culturally tone deaf. Think about the initial scandal of the Overwatch League, right? I looked at all the history before I wrote my article on my Substack. The initial premise was it was a sexist league because there weren't any women players. That was what they did. That's what they invited in for critique when they went to all their friends in the media. Guguri was meant to be the player that could come and play in the league. She was the best female player at the time. She did indeed get into the league at some point. Her name literally means frog, and you have banned the frog meme that people used to hold up to support her. So to appease one bunch of delusional lunatics, you have essentially penalised the support for the woman who could have been the female ambassador for your game. Use your fucking brains, you clowns.
Remember, they also did the other classic one. They said that the OK sign is racist as well. They banned that as well. They did all. It's like Monte, the tone. Well. They fucked the tone from day one, basically.
Yes. And so what this means, my point of this is because they strayed away from the original vision and they did things that alienated their core viewership of people who enjoy internet or esports culture, they basically all in on a Disney XD audience adopting, the content and filling these stadiums in those numbers. And that is such a precarious position to put yourself in, where you must acquire a vast new audience of people who are not part of current esports fandom in order to succeed. And so I think the Pepe stuff was just completely ridiculous. And you know what I told people internally at the time? I said, you cannot ban Pepe, even if you want to. And here's why. Because if the internet knows that you will ban anything if you throw Nazi symbols onto it, what is going to happen when they start using Blizzard IP and throwing Nazi symbols on it? What happens when you turn
that week?
I said literally, what happens if you turn Tracer into a Nazi? Do you have to disavow your own game? You cannot set this precedent, because it is going to fuel the trolls in a way that you will not believe.
Yep,
you can't do it.
And remember as well, it also just showed you, and this will be a good little segue, it also showed you the grotesque overreach that Activision Blizzard was willing to go to in a way that not even Riot Games would do. Because remember, the Pepe scandal emanated from somebody posting a Pepe with Field's birthday man on it, right? And they made the player take it down. Yeah. They made the player on his own Twitter account, which is in no way affiliated with Activision Blizzard. They made him take it down because it had a Pepe in it, and that was contrary to the league ops.
It was crazy. They went on a Pepe. They were just hunting Pepes, man. They went into the team Discords and made them remove all their Pepe emotes for the team. So there would be every team would have their own Pepe emote that they had made for their fans in their Discord, and they were like, "Teams, please remove all the Pepe emotes. This is a Pepe roundup."
Side.
Pepe genocide.
Yeah. No,
also, this was always Blizzard. Richard can tell you this. When they did the Overwatch Open, the first ever tournament that E-League ran, it was right when the Harambe meme was out, and they told the casters, "You mention Harambe when Winston's on camera."
Which was hilarious, by the way.
Which again is just guys, do you just not get this? Do you don't know what gaming is?
Yeah.
Like I said, so
a list of banned words circulated in the studio. Harambe was on it.
That was the time when everybody was calling Winston
guys. Thanks to them, he died for nothing.
We could have remembered Harambe. No Activision Blizzard.
So anyway, in a game that was fake for 4 years.
Just like the homestand thing was not basically the logistics around the league changed from the original plan. What I was sold when I signed my contract was so different to what I showed up for on day one of the league in 2018. And it just continued to get worse and worse and worse because they were so paranoid of some larger scandal that they alienated their audience. And you were right, Richard, in regards to the article that you wrote, that the biggest day of viewership was day one of the Overwatch League.
Correct. Yeah,
and I think they really just burned the bridge with a lot of core esports fans who, like I said, I think were willing to give Overwatch League a shot. I think there was a lot of really fun hype around the birth of a new esport and the support of, the mass scale support of Activision Blizzard and the resources they were willing to put into this. And honestly, like, it was amazing to be there at the beginning. The studio was incredible. The effort they put into this and the effort that everybody who was involved with the league did to attempt to make this a success was really fun to be a part of, and I think very admirable.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.